Welcome back. So let's add some motion to our object here. So let's go back to our plugin. I've actually realized that velocity is C here. I hope velocity. Yep. Okay. And I guess since we have velocity here, we really don't need position X. All right, so we have the control and we have the scene object, we have the time step, and we have our velocity. What we just need now is to use these values in here. So what I want is to increase this number velocity every time this process runs, and this will run for as long as you are moving the timeline here. So let's get that out of the way. Let me say velocity is equal to velocity plus 1. So we are increasing it by 1 every time through this loop. You can increase it by 0.5 or something like that. That's okay. Now a shorthand of writing this is simply doing this, velocity plus plus. That looks much neater. Or if you want to decrement, you can say velocity minus minus. So in this case, we want to be adding every time, so velocity plus plus. So we're adding to itself 1, which is good. Now, what we need now is to collect the current position so we can update it. So I'm going to say POS, which is short for position, not the other thing you were thinking about. Position is equal to MA. We are using the MA that has been provided here by Lightwave. So MA dot get, because we want to get, and we want to get what? The position. And then we have to specify one more thing, which is the time constant. At which point do we want to get? Now we want to get at the current time. However, let me make a variable instead. I'll call it my time and use that. So of course I have to define what my time is, otherwise I'll get an error. So I'll say my time is equal to scene dot current time. So I'm using this version of scene because I declared it here. Okay, so scene dot current time is my time. This time right here is useful for exactly what I'm talking about here. Actually, I could simply use that. Let me just copy it and paste it here. That's what it's actually here for. Excuse me. Although certain times this doesn't work very well for me, so that's why I prefer to use the scene time instead. But in here, actually let's just leave it at scene time. That's more reliable. Okay, so now that we have the current position, now this position is a vector. So the result there is like something like this, 0, 0, 0, like that. So a vector is a three number value. So to access the first one, we have to say pos.x, and of course the other one pos.y and pos.z. That's how we access all of them, each one of them individually. So what I want to do now is to set the new position. So I'm going to say new pos is equal to, so I want to create a vector here that I can then add to set to my item. So since a vector is a three number item, I can put this in there, but I have to put my commas here like so. So position X, position Y, position Z. So all we've done is just gotten this one and put it right back where it is. Now we want to add to the position X right here. So let's replace this one with a variable, which is what I wanted to do with new position there. So instead of wasting another variable here, what we can do is simply say ma.set. So let's set the position. Now here we have to put the vector that we want to add. So I'm simply going to grab this same vector here and put it in there. However, I want to replace the position X with new position. So I'll put new position there. And then here I just want to put a single value, like so. So this value is what I want us to calculate. So it's going to be the velocity, which we've increased. Actually, that's it. So new position is equal to velocity. So actually it's velocity plus, because I have to add to what was already there. I don't want it to simply jump to a new location. So I'll say pos.x plus the velocity at that time. So let's see how that's going to work out. If I remove this plugin and add the new one, and just like that, it has zoomed off into the distance. So let's see what's happening if I play. And we can't even see it because it's moving so fast. And this is where the time step comes in. So actually, let me put a 0 here to make it really small, because I've noticed it's really fast. So let me copy that and bring it here and say plus velocity times time step. Now I want you to add these together and then multiply by time steps. So I'll put these two in a bracket. That way it's going to start with these brackets always come first. So let's try that again. Remove and add. So I've seen a slight movement. So let me play this, and there we go. So we see it moving in a very specific direction. That doesn't seem to be fast enough, but that's besides the point. Let me increase this to 0.5. We may have better speeds. All right, so what I'm going for is a vibration. I don't want it to go in one direction constantly. I want it to vibrate. So I want it to make a U-turn when it reaches a specific value. So let's say in this case, I want it to make a U-turn when it reaches the value of 5. So I'll put an if statement here, and I'm going to say, what will I say? I'm going to say velocity if velocity is greater than 5, for example, or velocity is less than -5. So it's 5 or -5, and then let's put something here. I'm going to say if it is that, then velocity is equal to velocity times -1. So what this will do is invert the sign. So if it's 5, you multiply it by -1, it's going to become -5. If it's -5 multiplied by -1, it will become +5. So this will make it have a U-turn when it reaches the 5 value. Now this is okay to write it like this, I guess, but you can use a shortcut. I like shortcuts, by simply putting the star at the beginning like this and say times equals -1. Okay, just like this shortcut right there. Same thing. All right, so let me save that and remove, add. There we go. Look at that. So now we have a vibration going on there, which is pretty cool. Now, of course, I want it to reset when it gets to 0, every time it gets to 0. So what I'm going to say is put another if statement here and say if frame number is equal to 0, then velocity is equal to 0, so that it doesn't simply go to infinity, because it will keep adding to infinity, and we don't want to run out of memory. Okay, there we go. So let me see what happens when we get to 0 from here, and it continues. All right, So this is awesome. All right, so now the issue comes in. We want to assign this value, this 5, to our control so that we can control this number from the outside, the bounciness, how far it can go before it makes a U-turn. So we'll do that in the next video.